Hello everyone, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. I wish you a delightful audiobook experience. The book I'm going to interpret for you today is titled Range. This book primarily discusses why being a generalist has more advantages in this era. The growth models of specialists and generalists have always been topics we enjoy exploring. In fact, these two talent models can be traced back to the 19th century and represent different educational philosophies. The first is the Ruby-style specialist education, championed by Wilhelm, a renowned Prussian educator and diplomat. He emphasized vocational and skills education and established a higher education system. After Prussia officially adopted this education system, it quickly achieved industrialization, becoming one of the strongest countries in Europe at that time. The other model is the Newman-style generalist education, proposed by John Newman, a British educator. He believed that the ultimate purpose of education is not to learn a specific professional skill but to cultivate individuals with self-awareness and a sound mind. Instead of early specialization in a particular field, Newman emphasized the importance of broadening one's knowledge. So, which talent model is better? If we were to compare them directly, different people might have different opinions. However, let's consider another question. If you had to persuade someone to become a generalist today, you would find it quite challenging. On the other hand, convincing someone to become a specialist would be much easier. Why is that? While we acknowledge the value of being a generalist, there's a disparity between our belief and our willingness to take action. Ultimately, it comes down to the fact that we don't truly believe in the advantages of being a generalist. For example, if someone told a parent that their child doesn't need to practice the piano all day and should try a variety of things, the parent might find it difficult to accept. In today's fiercely competitive society, having a specialization early on gives a child an advantage. The same applies to finding a job after university graduation. You undoubtedly want to achieve the highest honors in a specific field as soon as possible to ensure a sense of security and stability. But what is the foundation of this sense of security? Modern society has a general trend of division of labor. While we don't deny the value of being a generalist, the rewards, predictability, and stability are stronger for specialists within the existing social system. So, in my view, this book, Range, actually takes us to the second stage of understanding this matter. In other words, it doesn't just inform us of the advantages of being a generalist but also aims to make us believe in it and take action. The author of this book, David Epstein, is a best-selling author for the New York Times and a seasoned storyteller for Sports Illustrated. He started with talent research in the sports field and gradually expanded it to education, music, astronomy, arts, and other industries. Through numerous case studies and research data, he delves into the drawbacks of overspecialization. The author suggests that in this fast-paced and ever-changing era, we need to craft ourselves into versatile Swiss Army knives. The best path to growth is achieved by constantly expanding our abilities across disciplines. Now, I will divide my interpretation of this book into two parts. First, we will address why being a generalist has more advantages than being a specialist in today's era. Second, we will discuss specific learning methods to become a generalist. Why become a generalist? The core reason, as stated by the author in this book, is that generalists possess the ability to integrate a wide range of knowledge and transfer it across different domains. This ability is based on what we are not unfamiliar with, analogy thinking. Throughout this book, the author extensively presents numerous cases to support this viewpoint. One example is a psychologist named Gerd Gigerenzer from Northwestern University. He can be considered a world-class expert in analogy thinking. He believes that the ability to think in terms of associations is one of the reasons why humans have dominated the earth. Establishing connections is very challenging for other species, but analogy thinking helps us reason and find solutions when faced with unfamiliar situations, even those we cannot directly observe. However, in our daily lives, we often fail to fully utilize analogy thinking's true potential. Most of the time, we resort to surface-level analogies, repeating patterns on similar problems. True and effective analogies involve finding deep similarities between seemingly unrelated things. Compared to surface-level analogies, deep analogies are more abstract and difficult to grasp. To illustrate this, Gerd Gigerenzer conducted an experiment at Northwestern University. He invited students from various disciplines and asked them to classify 25 cards with descriptions of real-world phenomena. Each card had two dimensions, one representing a specific field and the other showcasing the underlying deep structure of the phenomenon. For instance, for cards describe different phenomena: sweating, brain controlling limb movements, the Federal Reserve adjusting interest rates, and oil price fluctuations causing commodity price increases. Students were required to classify them, and many grouped sweating and brain-controlled limb movements together as both belong to the field of biology. Similarly, they classified the Federal Reserve's adjustment and oil price fluctuations as both related to economics. While this classification is reasonable, few students could identify the deeper layer of similarity behind the experiment. For example, sweating to regulate body temperature falls under middle school biology, while the body's temperature homeostasis and the Federal Reserve's adjustments can be grouped together because both involve feedback loops. On the other hand, brain-controlling limb movements and oil price fluctuations causing commodity price increases can be classified together due to their cause-and-effect relationships. These seemingly unrelated phenomena share similar underlying mechanisms. However, understanding and utilizing this deeper analogy requires abstract and complex thinking. Now, let's examine a medical challenge-solving approach. By understanding this method, you might gain a better understanding of deep analogies. Imagine you are a doctor tasked with treating a patient's tumor. The surgery is too risky, but there's good news: a radiation treatment that can eradicate the tumor. However, it requires a high intensity of radiation that could also damage healthy tissues since the tumor is hidden within the body. Here's a grounded story of how a village fought a fire that might help you come up with a solution for the medical challenge. In a village, a house caught fire, and the situation was severe, needing immediate control. The firefighters realized two things. First, there were no hydrants around, but there was a nearby lake that could supply water without any problem. Second, before their arrival, the villagers tried extinguishing the fire with water buckets, but it had little effect. The firefighters decided to organize everyone, including the villagers. Those with buckets fetched water and those with hoses connected them to the water supply. They formed a circle around the house and, after a countdown, simultaneously directed the water toward the fire. Consequently, the fire was quickly brought under control. After hearing this story, you might have figured out the solution to the medical challenge. The answer is to use multiple beams of lower intensity radiation from different angles to converge on the tumor. This ensures that all the radiation will focus on the tumor while sparing the healthy tissues. In real life, this is the principle behind the gamma knife therapy commonly used in hospitals. By applying the same underlying principle found in a village fire incident and the radiation treatment for tumors, you can see that many seemingly unrelated things can share the same deep analogy. Once you grasp this shared knowledge, you can apply it to various situations, even those outside your expertise or without existing solutions. Deep analogy thinking allows us to reason out relatively feasible solutions and gives generalists an advantage over specialists. Compared to specialists, generalists explore a broader range of fields, which means they have more opportunities for deep analogy thinking. This ability helps them develop an external perspective when approaching problems, which is highly valuable. There was an inventor named Odek, working for the American company Sandman. He made a groundbreaking invention that defied a physical law with a 200-year history. This law stated that no surface could perfectly reflect light from all angles. Odek pondered whether it was possible to create a thin film composed of multiple layers of optical materials, each possessing distinct optical properties for custom reflection and refraction of light of different wavelengths in various directions. However, many optical experts within the industry opposed Odek's idea, deeming it fundamentally impossible. Even an optical book explicitly stated that such precision was unachievable. Nevertheless, Odek firmly believed in the feasibility of his approach, thanks to deep analogy thinking. In nature, the answer to his question had already been provided by a brilliantly colored butterfly called the great blue morpho. Despite having no blue pigments on its wings, the butterfly emitted a vivid blue light due to the refraction and reflection of specific wavelengths caused by the thin layers of scales on its wings. To determine the suitable optical material, Odek drew inspiration from everyday life, the plastic bottles used for drinking water. He realized that plastic was a polymer frequently encountered and never considered for creating optical films. Odek's invention was a multi-layer optical film, comprising hundreds of layers of polymer, with a thickness narrower than a human hair. Each layer was carefully designed to reflect, refract, or allow specific wavelengths of light to pass through. Additionally, This multi-layer optical film could enhance brightness, as the light entering the polymer would bounce back. Initially deemed an impossible invention, ODEC's creation extended beyond the applications of luminescent materials. For instance, it found a broad range of applications in smartphones and laptops, where the use of the film significantly reduced the power consumption required to maintain screen brightness. People were curious about why ODEC succeeded in creating an invention that many optical experts vehemently opposed. Upon exploring ODEC's background, they discovered that he was a polymath. He enjoyed making handcrafted models, held a doctorate in chemistry, and had previous work experience in laser experiments at 3M. His patents spanned various fields, including optics, metal processing, and dentistry, endowing him with an external perspective and a broad-minded approach to problem solving. The author of this book points out that psychological research indicates the more internal details a person considers, the more extreme their judgments become. When individuals specialize prematurely, solely focusing on a single domain, their thinking patterns tend to become narrow and limited to that particular field. The metaphor of a matryoshka doll, with each layer representing a subfield, accurately portrays the lack of external perspectives that hinder creativity and adaptability. In a rapidly developing world with increasing complexity, the demand for individuals with multidisciplinary talents will grow. Specific technical skills may be outperformed by artificial intelligence, but the ability to integrate diverse knowledge and apply it across domains offers unique advantages. The author references a study comparing contributions made by specialized inventors and polymath inventors. Since the end of World War II, there has been a rising emphasis on specialization, but the significance of specialized inventors reached its peak in 1985, after which it declined significantly. Only around 2007 did it begin to stabilize, but recent years have seen a downward trend. Researchers analyzed that with the development of the Internet age, information became more accessible, leading to decreased demand for individuals focused solely on a single field. The preference shifted towards composite talents who could excel in several domains, namely the polymaths. Thus, in this era, it is crucial to step outside one's comfort zone and actively try diverse experiences. Deliberate experimentation is more critical than deliberate practice. To recap, the advantage of being a polymath lies in possessing the ability to integrate a wide range of knowledge and apply it across different domains. However, when it comes to specific learning methods, how should we proceed? In this section, we will discuss how to learn to become a polymath. First, let's take a math class together. In this class, students are learning a simple algebraic expression. Before the teacher starts the formal lecture, they crack a joke to liven up the atmosphere. Then, the teacher begins to ask questions. For example, they ask, a hot dog at the Philadelphia Eagles Stadium costs $3. If we represent the number of hot dogs with the letter N, what would be the total price? This question poses a challenge for students, as using a letter to represent an unknown quantity seems abstract and not easy to grasp. The answer given by the teacher is 3N, and one student inquires if any letter can be used for the representation. The teacher confirms that any letter is acceptable. However, this sparks confusion among the students, who worry about the potential confusion due to the various letters being used. The class then moves on to the second part, where they need to find the value of the expression 7H. The teacher explains that the example of the $3 hot dog is called a variable expression. Students quickly learn that even if they don't fully understand the concept of variables, they can still solve problems through trial and error, guessing the correct answers through addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. Even if some students initially answer incorrectly, the teacher remains patient, encouraging them to think and providing multiple choices to guide them towards the right answer. The students can guess the answers intermittently and cleverly test the teacher's reactions. This classroom scene comes from a school in the United States and represents the teaching style in many schools in Europe and America. The author observes that in many classrooms, teachers emphasize using procedures in their questioning. After introducing a theory or formula, they quickly transition to practice exercises to help students grasp how to use the knowledge effectively. This approach allows students to score well on exams in the short term. However, in the long run, their thinking habits tend to prioritize rapid and straightforward knowledge acquisition, avoiding deep thinking. As a result, students often do not understand the underlying principles behind what they learn. They lack the ability to connect different pieces of knowledge or apply analogous thinking to solve unfamiliar problems. The focus on quick learning often leads to short-lived retention of knowledge. For example, when students are asked which is larger between 5/A and 8/A, most of them rely on memorized rules, saying that the fraction with the larger denominator is smaller. Only 15% of students truly understand the concept behind this reasoning, using conceptual reasoning to deduce that when you divide something into 5 parts, each part is certainly larger than when you divide it into 8 parts. These students who genuinely understand a concept are scarce, let alone those who can apply what they've learned to other domains or use analogous thinking to reason through unfamiliar problems. So, how can we become polymaths? The author suggests a concept called learning fast and slow. The entire learning process should have an appropriate level of difficulty. Although it may seem slow initially, it ultimately leads to faster learning in the future. This approach allows us to genuinely improve the flexibility and effectiveness of our knowledge. Flexibility aids in analogical transfer of knowledge, while effectiveness reflects our true understanding of a concept. Sure, let's talk about the 2 methods that the author provides in this book to improve knowledge flexibility: building connections, and interleaving practice. Firstly, building connections is easy to understand. It means that when we learn a theory, we need to not only know how to use it but also consciously learn where it comes from, why it was proposed, and how it can be applied in different areas. By using one piece of knowledge as a starting point, we can diverge our learning, expand its connotations and implications, and engage in deep thinking. Although this method may seem laborious and slow in the learning process, it yields better results in the long run. Researchers at the United States Air Force Academy collected data from over 10,000 students over 10 years to study the effectiveness of different teaching methods. The Academy's curriculum focuses on science and engineering, and students receive rigorous and highly structured training. Every year, the school arranges calculus courses for students, and they are randomly assigned to different professors' classes for evaluation. The researchers found that in some introductory calculus courses, some classes performed exceptionally well, and the students gave their teachers high ratings. However, in subsequent intermediate and advanced calculus courses, these students' performance became mediocre. On the other hand, the classes that utilized building connections as a teaching method in the introductory courses showed better performance in the later stages. Unfortunately, these classes' teachers received low ratings from the students. This research result reminds us not to mistake current performance as actual learning. Current grades can be misleading, and true understanding of knowledge and the ability to apply it across domains require significant effort and deep thinking. The second method is interleaving practice. This means that if you want to master knowledge flexibly, you must vary the content and contexts of your learning. This method has been proven to improve inductive reasoning skills. When faced with mixed and diverse examples, students can learn to abstract and generalize, applying their knowledge to previously unencountered areas. For example, in a piano challenge experiment, students were given 194 practice opportunities. Some students practiced the same 15 techniques repeatedly, while others interleaved their practice across 8, 12, 15, and 22 techniques. In the final test, students who engaged in interleaved practice performed better than those who focused solely on a single technique in terms of completion time and accuracy. The interleaving practice method is equally effective in the field of basketball. If you want to improve your free throw accuracy, it is better not to practice solely from the free throw line. Instead, practice from various distances, creating a better feel for free throws. This learning approach helps us master knowledge flexibly, leading to cross-domain learning and a deeper understanding of specific fields. On a broader scale, it represents the essence of polymath learning, as it enables us to set a wide array of knowledge while enhancing our understanding of certain specialized fields. Lastly, the author provides 2 additional methods in the book to improve knowledge effectiveness: testing first, learning later, and spaced repetition. By employing these rigorous methods, we can truly master knowledge, apply it in different domains, and develop the thinking abilities of a polymath. This concludes our discussion of the book Range. Thank you for listening to the Tim Booker channel. Remember to subscribe, like, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends, so we can combine wisdom and practice to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you, and goodbye.